Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I have Clifford here with me. He and I got connected some time ago through Virtual Roundtable, which is an entrepreneurial community that we were connected to through Facebook. So I'm excited to have him here. We've had so many schedule changes and things happening that, I'm just glad we're here today. It's been a long overdue interview. But with that being said, before we get into some great conversation, I want to give Clifford the opportunity to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, Clifford Starks here. I'm excited to be on America's Supermom, keeping it real. I can't wait to keep it real because that's what life's about. There's ups, there's downs, there's lefts, rights, and I say I'm a fighter who fights for you. So I have a background as a professional fighter and athlete,
Wow.
and yeah, in life, it's a fight, and the fight doesn't have to be horrible. In fact, when you learn to fight correctly, there's a flow behind fighting. And so
Hmm.
I'd love to dig into that and have an amazing conversation with you.
I love that. And, I just noticed the other day when I saw a post that we are both going to be in this comic book series. Had no idea until I saw it on Facebook. So, how did
Yeah,
you get connected with the comic book?
yeah. So I'm actually connected with Vincent
Oh,
Molina,
okay.
and yeah. So he put in the good word for me, and he told me what the storyline was about, and I couldn't say no to that. I'm looking to influence 1 billion people. I'm going nuts over here, just having big goals and big dreams.
Hmm.
And the funny thing is, when you talk about what you want enough, and of course you have to act on it too,
Hmm.
the doors start opening up for you, and you just
So
run with it.
true. Yeah. And I think, it's so funny because, like, I do these presentations and I tell people, man, where were you when I was at that point? But the thing about it
Hmm.
is, they probably were saying that I just wasn't listening. I was
Yeah,
focusing on the wrong thing. So, the fact that your eyes begin to be opened about the things that you're striving for, when they've
hmm,
been there all along, you just didn't see them.
absolutely,
Yeah. So I love
100%.
that. Now, so I love this whole thing about fighting because this is so important. Everybody thinks, well, and I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people think, oh, I want to manifest being a millionaire or a lot of these goals and aspirations, and it's just going to be not easy, but they understand that it's a path, a journey. But in terms of actually fighting, they don't really understand that that's really a component of that journey. So, talk to us about
Yeah,
how you got to that point of really understanding how prevalent that is in making your dreams come true or just life in general.
yeah. So it's really been a foundation in my life in general.
Mm-hmm.
My biological dad drove away from me when I was 4, and I bring this
Uh-huh.
up to say I wanted to get strong because of that situation. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are supposed to care about you can drive away out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom remarried when I was 6,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a man with amazing character. And so the reverse is also true. People who didn't have to be there can come into your life. And so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got the duality of both sides of saying life's complicated and hairy and struggling and up and down. And I say I'm honored and privileged to have gotten that super young. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I'd always take in information, good, bad, or indifferent, and say everyone's a form of a mentor to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're either telling me what to do or they're telling me what not to do. And in life, I want people to tell me the truth. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
lied to. I don't want fairy tales. I don't want like, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be cake. There's not going to be any challenges. Because if I see it that way and then I go in, then I'm like, I can't trust that person anymore. It's like,
Right.
you told me this process was going to be this easy process, but it really wasn't. And I'm
Yeah.
here to tell people, like, look, life is hard, whether you try or whether you don't. It's going to be hard anyway. So you
Yeah.
might as well do your best and give your best and grow into the person who deserves the dream that you're looking to get.
Love that. Now, we talk about, going back and how your biological dad left. You've got a new dad. How were you
Mhm.
able to take the experience and grow without the personal fight against yourself? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, you're fighting, bullying yourself with the negative talk, the negative belief, because there was something about you that made that event happen rather than being able to separate that incident and still build up who you are. How did you get to that point?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I look at life, it's very organic,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is every day is a new day. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I know for sure is habits take time to build, and you get to choose which ones you're going to build. And so you can choose habits that are healthy for you or habits that are unhealthy for you, that are going to destroy you, that are going to eat up at you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took it upon myself to grow as much as I could daily. I took it upon myself to just grow, to just be my best. And to say where I got that from, I really want to believe my parents definitely helped with that because even though he's not my biological, that's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He was there for me. He was there for me from get to today. And he's
Mm-hmm.
going to continue to be there for me. He proven to have that character and he instilled that character into me.
Mm-hmm.
And in my process, it was like, I guess I don't like the feeling of feeling like crap. I don't like the feeling of feeling like a victim. I don't like that
Mm-hmm.
feeling. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like the feeling of, like, I've had several sections of my journey, and every time I felt bad or unconfident or uncomfortable or like I wasn't in power or in control of who I was, just who I was, I didn't like it. I like the feeling of strength. I like the feeling of raising the bar. I like the feeling of stretching and growing. I like the feeling of being abundant. I love that
Mm-hmm.
feeling. And so you're getting high on something, I always say. Whether that's the sugars you eat, whether that's some sort of drug you don't like, or whether it's or whether it's life. You can get
Mm-hmm.
high on life. And I like getting high on life.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to get high on life very young, and I never wanted to stop doing it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, so tell us some things that you have to do to be in that space, because I had this whole thing. I went through life with the mindset that was fixed. And then I learned
Mhm.
about the growth mindset and how, I learned to create the environment and certain things that help to guard that space to where I can protect the growth mindset and continue in spite of things that happen outside of my control. So, how do you
Mhm.
manage that, today, especially like, you've got COVID and then, you're a parent, you got a new baby. And so, these are things where there's going to be some things that happen outside of your control, no matter how much you plan or whatever. So, how do you
Yeah.
guard that mindset?
So I like to say momentum plus time equals exponential energy.
Mm.
And every time I had a challenge, I looked at the challenge and I faced the challenge.
Mhm.
And I got stronger and stronger and stronger. Each challenge that I overcame, the stronger I became.
Mhm.
And I did have the support system that was there to help me with that process too. Because some people, they're broken and they're damaged and they're hurt and there's trauma. And they
Mhm.
have that because they had nothing to support them, nothing there for them, nothing to help them grow. And it's not to tell people like either you're a victim or you're a survivor. Like, no, life's complicated. It's very, very complicated. And even if a person did have opportunities, they may never have seen those opportunities. So you get the
Mhm.
option to either show them to them or walk away. And I'm not going to tell a
Mhm.
person what they should do, but I do know this: there's not a greater feeling then standing strong for yourself and coaching others to do the same thing on their journey. Like it's just a great feeling. And so I call it an us. It's all about us. And it started with being an overweight kid who wanted to lose weight. That's what it started with.
Wow.
But I didn't know my dream was going to turn into this at 40. Yeah, I didn't know. I just knew I needed to try in life. That's all I knew. And I was going to give my best at life.
That is so awesome. Yeah. And I mean, just love how it's the, you know, being able to learn and experience things in life and use them to be able to in real time help others learn from that experience. I think that is just a gift to be able to do that, you know, because I think about, you know, I struggled with depression for 13 years. And part of that was the idea that, oh, something's wrong with me. I can't tell people that I was depressed. You know, it's like that hiding and not being able to feel open about it. But it wasn't until I was able to accept it and say, hey, you know what? This was a part of my journey. I can't change it, but it made me a better person now because I learned the lessons. So being able to do that, I think is just great because you can help so many people avoid that pathway, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy because as I've gone through my journey, I don't think we can necessarily avoid the pathway, but I do believe there's ways to go about the pathway with much less trauma. For instance,
So true.
if you have a heart attack, right? And you realize like, oh crap, I got to eat healthy. I had a heart attack and this doesn't feel good. The fact that someone can tell you that message can resonate with the person and say, well, I don't have a heart attack, so I should eat healthy. There was a pain point. Comes from a pain point. And so that's what I see. Like our stories allow pain and pleasure and everything in between. And then a person gets to choose like, okay, what reality do you want to create in this world? Now that you've seen everything, what do you want to create?
So true. My eye is watering. I wear contacts, so I know you're thinking, hey, I got her crying over there.
Give it to me.
But I think, you know, one of the things, I love that you mentioned that because pain reminds us that we're living. You know, so often I go back in my journey with that depression and it was like numb. Nothing could penetrate me. I was just numb. I was on autopilot, not wanting to feel anything. So when you're able to get an emotion from somebody, that is so powerful to get their attention that this can be, you know, you're living. You're not dead. You're not in a fog. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And would be interested in talking more in your story because I remember listening to this TED Talk and we talked about people jumping over the Golden Gate Bridge. That's where they would commit suicide, is jumping over this Golden Gate Bridge. And this one kid was getting ready to jump. And I'm going to butcher this story, so I apologize, everyone. But this officer was trained to help get people off of that bridge, to not take the jump. And he ended up getting this kid to stop from jumping. He didn't jump. And the family invited him over for dinner. And they asked him, what did you say to our son? And his reply was, that's the first time I've ever really been listened to. Life's hard. It's tough. And sometimes a person just needs someone to listen to them, you know, so they can open up and say, I feel like shit. I don't feel good.
So true. And I think, you know, we deny those feelings because I love how you're talking about exposing the truth. You know, we have entrepreneurs that talk about six figures and, you know, how many leads you can get. But the reality is the highs and lows, you know. So if someone has a low point, they feel like something's wrong with them, you know. But if you tell them the truth, they know what to expect and they're able to weather that storm or know that something brighter is around the corner.
Yep. And that goes right to the fight again. If I had a
Mm-hmm.
coach who was telling me you shouldn't feel any pain, and every time I got in there I felt pain, I'm gonna think there's something wrong with me. I'm
So
gonna
true.
think I have an issue with me. And that's
Right.
the problem. Like we all have fucked up isms or problems. Sorry,
I
we
know
have
what you're
them.
saying. Yeah. It's the truth
And
though.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. Like it's complicated. It's hard. It's challenging. And I've known my purpose. I've known my purpose since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And sometimes knowing your purpose even sucks. Because it's
Yeah.
like, wow, I know what I'm supposed to do, and it's still hard. Like, there's people who don't even know what they're doing. And they got that going, but we all
So
have
true.
different complications. We all
Yeah.
have different issues that we're dealing with. And I can't look at my life and say, I got it more figured out than you. Well, if you have it more figured out than someone, we'll help them along the journey then.
Yes. So true. Yeah, and I mean, we focus on the wrong thing. I call those getting out of my own way moments, because you
Mm-hmm.
can get into the story of woe is me and why me and all this kind of stuff, or nobody cares. And the more
Yeah.
you stay focused on your purpose and what your message or mission is, the more clarity you have, and you can keep going, you know and just
Yeah.
chalk it up as, hey, okay, today was one of those days. I learned this lesson and keep it moving and not get stuck.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
I
so what?
had a
Oh, go ahead.
I had a terrible day like 5 days ago. It was
Uh huh.
hilarious. Like it just went. You know where it goes from bad to worse.
Yeah.
So I started off, and I knew it was off. I knew it was going to be off. My son woke up right a little earlier than he normally does, and my wife wanted to get on the treadmill, so I didn't get to get my exercise in. I was letting her do her thing, and I ate a crappy breakfast. And that
Hmm.
like how you start your day could be how you finish your day. And
Right.
so I was just like, wow, I couldn't, I had no traction that day. I
Yeah.
just had no traction. And I didn't beat myself up a little bit. I'm a competitive specialist. So I'm like, damn, I messed that day up. And I
Yes.
go, all right, how do I make the next day better than the last? And not only better, I do my best to do this. And everybody has to figure out what works for them. This works for me. I doubled up to play catch up. I doubled up to
Yeah.
play catch up. I did it because I know that I'm capable of doing it. Everyone's in different places and different spaces.
Yes.
So you need to figure out what worked for you. But I got myself back on track. I doubled up on the day. I felt great, and my energy was high. I was ready to go do what I needed to do with life again. But that's the thing. Like sometimes you get hit with days you weren't expecting to get hit with, and you at least get a choice. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this thing that has already happened? I can't go backwards.
So
So
true.
what can I do moving forward?
I love that, because, that is a reality. Those days happen, things that are
Mm-hmm.
outside of your control and whatever. So that reflection is key. I mean, for so long, I was on this roller coaster for 13 years and not getting off
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't take that time to reflect. So I love how you're able to have those moments and think about it. Now, in terms of what kind of day you should be having, what does that day
Mm-hmm.
look like when you know that you are doing what you should be doing?
Yeah, so I always start my day off with something energetic, whether that's walking on the treadmill, doing
Mm.
some form of exercise, and also I love the Wim Hof breathing technique. So I'm either doing one of those three things
What
just to
kind of
get my day
breathing is that
started.
now?
It's called Wim Hof. They call him the
Okay.
Iceman. He's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. And it
Okay.
just it wakes my body up, makes me feel amazing and ready to go. And I like I like saying being in the moment.
Yeah.
Not every time am I going to make the exact perfect schedule, but I have
Hmm.
this when you're in the moment, things just happen for you.
Amen.
They just happen for you. Yeah. And even you're naturally going to take action. And when you take that being action, things
Hmm.
show up for you. Really, really cool.
I love that. Now, so how do you measure that? What is this? Give us an example of something, because so many
Yeah,
people are schedulers, they're like, I
huh?
don't know, I can't deal with the spontaneous stuff. So, walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, so I'm always measuring with results, right? So
Okay.
there's always a result for something. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. When I was an overweight kid looking to lose weight, I focused on measuring what I was eating, my calorie count. I didn't really like looking at the scale. It messed with me actually. It made it harder
Okay.
because the scale wouldn't, yeah, it just wouldn't go down fast enough for me.
Right.
So I took um, longer periods, like 2 to 3 month periods, and I would look in the mirror. That would be my measurement. So it was my calorie count on what I was eating and my measurement of what I saw on the scale. As an athlete, I measured like those are the easiest measurements ever because either you win or you lose. So
Mm-hmm.
when it's game day, either you're winning or you're losing, and you get
Mm.
to measure from there. And that's what I love so much about athletics. It was great to have. And now as I'm taking my entrepreneurial journey, it's a measurement of service. Like how can I serve my audience at the highest level? And
Mm.
sometimes the simplest things people miss is just asking your audience, hey, how did that resonate for you? Hey,
Yeah.
what results did you get from working with me? Hey, what do you have now that you didn't have before? And so those are measurable things that you can do on the coaching aspect. And you can also do measurements on, is your audience responding to you? Are they saying, I want to work with this person? Are they raising their hand? Are they not saying
Mm-hmm.
anything? And those are the measurements that I take. So what's really cool as I've gone through my journey, it gets more and more complicated, but
Mm-hmm.
not to the person living the journey because our minds are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
even as the complexity is growing, it doesn't feel any more complex because you've already built in habits that you didn't have before.
I love that. That's good stuff. Now, so what are
Yeah.
some books or podcasts that kind of help you with this mindset?
I love books and I love so books, action, and journaling. Journaling,
Okay.
when you're writing it down and you see it and you see
Mm-hmm.
your day, it
Mm-hmm.
makes you go like, oh, I messed up there. Oh, I didn't really do that one well. Oh, I did this one pretty good, right? The books that I love, Think and Grow Rich, The Ultimate Sales Machine. There's this one amazing book that I've read called Spin Selling from Neil Rackham.
What's
Holy
the
crap!
name
One
of
of
it
my
now?
favorite. It's called Spin Selling, and it's
Spin
it's used
selling.
as an acronym for
Okay.
situation, problem, implementation, and needs payoff. And it's one of my favorite reads. And what's interesting, it's speaking on selling. And I didn't like selling when I became a personal trainer. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to sell to anybody.
Right.
I love selling. I love it now. And I love it because it's form of influence. Like that's all it is. And you get to choose how you're going to sell someone on something. If I
Mm-hmm.
have something that can help them move forward, I'm selling it to them. If I can't
Right.
help them, why would I sell it to them? And so
So
the
true.
whole they used to have like the used car salesman or sell ice to an Eskimo. You don't have
Right.
to live like that. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. That's not what you want to do. But you want to have the ability and the skill set to work with the people you were meant to work with because you can transform their life. And that's the greatest feeling ever because we've all had transformational experiences. We know what it feels like. And knowing that, especially entrepreneurs that stay in the game, you've had to have had a transformational experience to stay in this game. It's not an easy game to play.
So true.
And yeah, when you're like, I have to serve this audience. I have to figure out how to get them to that next level because I know what it feels like. I
Mm-hmm.
know what it feels like. And I do think about my biological and my other dad. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not to hate on my biological in any way. He made his choice.
Right.
He made his choice. And every day we wake up, we're making a choice. And we
Mm-hmm.
might not realize it, but we're affecting people.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Now, I love that. So what was it about that mindset that helped you shift in that with that book? What was the one thing that you could kind of pinpoint that helped you make that transformation?
So when I started my entrepreneurial journey,
Mm-hmm.
I had gotten quite a bit of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
good coaches and some not so good coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized they always used some form of script. There was also always some form of script. What I like about spin selling is you're never ever truly done with the sell. You're always selling someone. You're selling them on themselves. What I
Mm-hmm.
liked about spin selling, if you do it correctly and you do it with integrity, you can use it past the first sell, past them giving you the credit card. You can use it to expand and open their mind and see things they didn't see before. That's what I love about
Mm-hmm.
spin selling because it's really asking the right question. It's asking the deep
Mm-hmm.
question to get them to move forward on their journey.
Love that. I mean, and that is so key. I'm telling you, when you begin to know how to unlock somebody else's inner voice, that's just powerful because we never really
Mm-hmm.
get that space and time to really hone into that. We're busy with work, kids. We just don't take that time to have that space to do that. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Love that.
yeah.
Mhm.
I love the entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
and I do my best to have entrepreneurs go through the whole journey if it's
Mhm.
for them, if it's in their heart. And I do this because the best entrepreneurs that win are the ones that give, the ones that
Mhm.
give. Now, just like anything, everyone's doing the best they can with the tools that they have.
Mhm.
So, normally, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but you're going to become an entrepreneur because you see the money involved in being an entrepreneur. So,
Mhm.
hearing about 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, you're seeing that and going like, wow, here's an opportunity.
Right.
And it's hard to distinguish give to your people, don't try and take,
Mhm.
give, and the world will give to you. If you give
Right.
enough people their dream, you will get your dream. It's a process
Mhm.
because we're not conditioned to be that way. So
Right.
even me being called a competitive edge specialist, a competitive edge specialist is not someone who's like, I got to compete with everything all the time. No, you
Right.
don't. Well, you have to have coaches. You have to have good sparring partners. You have to have good
Right.
training partners. You have to have people cheering you on. You're not just always competing. You do
Mhm.
have competition days where you're signing that contract and it's like, okay, it's two guys going to war and may the best man win. And we both
Mhm.
respect each other at the end of that, too. Because if
Mhm.
I was a person who won a fight and disrespected the person and disrespected the boss who was writing the paycheck and disrespected the ring announcer and disrespected the ref and everybody else, I'm a piece of crap. I'm not a
Yeah.
competitor anymore.
Mhm. I
And
love
that's the
that.
competitor saying, where are we leveraging? Where are we leveraging in life?
Mhm.
How are we showing up?
Mhm. I love that. And that whole thing about there's certain stages that you're on because of your advantage and how do you leverage those? I think that's awesome.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
big time.
This is great. So, this has just been a great conversation. And what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way they can get a hold of me is my email at cliff@mindbodymentoring.com,
Hmm.
or you can messenger me on Facebook. Easy to
Okay.
find, Clifford Starks.
Awesome. And so, what
Yeah.
final words of wisdom would you like to share with those that have been watching today?
My final words of wisdom are thank you. Thank you, Rochelle, for allowing me to be on your platform.
Hmm.
I think too often people are looking to give some knowledge bombs, and the truth is, taking the time to respect another human being is all you really need to do, and just let them know, like, thank you, and mean it.
I sure appreciate that. And that is so awesome. You know, you're right. I think that is so profound because I find that with my kids, you know, it's like, oh, I want to take them to Disney World or whatever. And it's like,
Mhm.
you know, you could just take them to get some ice cream and just be
Yeah,
intentional in that moment and they'll be happy. Save yourself
yeah.
thousands of dollars in the process. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
You know?
I have to tell this very, very quick story.
Yes.
So my grandfather passed away when I was 5, and
Oh,
it
okay.
was terrifying, absolutely terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I knew, like, holy crap, I'm gonna die one day. I was just like, oh God, like, what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget. My mom took me to go get ice cream, sherbet ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
and she was there for me, and she cared for me. I
Mm-hmm.
never forgot that day. You know, I never forgot that day because
Mm-hmm.
she showed up for me in the best way that she could. You know, I
Yeah.
respect and honor that.
So that's
And we
awesome.
remember, yeah, we remember those times.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, this has
Yeah,
just been wonderful, Clifford. So glad that we finally got our schedules together. I mean, this was great
yeah,
content, and I'm so glad that we're in each other's network and looking forward to more collaborations in the future.
yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys all for watching. If you have any comments or questions for Clifford, feel free to put them in the comments and we'll make sure that he does get those and share the video. If you got some great content, some great aha nuggets of information, share it with somebody else. It doesn't cost anything. But in the meantime, we want to thank you all for your time and for your energy and just spending some time with us as we had this great conversation. And we look forward to seeing you again on our next episode. Bye for now, everybody.
Take care, superstars.